Next up, where are my XRP army? Do we have an XRP army in the house? David Schwartz, unfortunately couldn't be live with us. He also got a video, but man, this is the guy from XRP. You want to see it, you want to hear it, you want to feel it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, David Schwartz.
Hello, I'm David Schwartz, CTO at Ripple and co-creator of the XRP Ledger. I got involved in the cryptocurrency space when I stumbled on Bitcoin in 2011. I was mesmerized by the ability to store and move value without needing a central clearinghouse that all participants were willing to trust. And almost immediately I realized that even if Bitcoin was going to take over the world and everyone would use it for everything, there would have to be bridges to get us there. More gradually, it became clear that not everyone wants the same thing, and interoperability was going to be even more important than just a bridge to a tokenized future. Let me start by telling you a little bit about Ripple. We established a global team of around 500 employees with 9 offices around the world, including San Francisco, our headquarters, New York, Washington, DC, London, Reykjavik, Mumbai, Singapore, Dubai, Sao Paulo, probably just a couple. And we built the team to include experts in technology, finance, blockchain, and governance in order to transform how the world moves, manages, and tokenizes value. Anyone who's made an international payment knows that moving money today is nothing like moving information. Compare an international payment to sending an email, and the differences are quite stark. Email critically has a universal namespace, an email address, and universal interoperability, a protocol called SMTP, and together they make it just work. Both of these elements are important, and today payments just don't have either of them. The Internet of Value is about making the movement of value as simple and as painless as the movement of information, making payments more like email. You can think of Ripple today as having 2 parts, RippleNet and RippleX. RippleNet's focused on proprietary products for institutional customers like banks and financial institutions. It grew out of our early realization that institutions couldn't use digital assets for settlement if the core layers of their payment infrastructure were designed in the 60s, built in the 70s, and based around limitations of magnetic tape systems. RippleX is focused on open source products and public protocols for crypto adoption. Sometimes I think of Ripple like Twitter in the 90s. Of course, there was no Twitter in the 90s. The target market didn't exist. Twitter doesn't have to figure out how to get people to have home internet access or carry internet-enabled phones, because the people who already do that are Twitter's target market. Twitter's predecessors and competitors built Twitter's target market, and Ripple needs its competitors to thrive and grow to build our target market. XRP is the digital asset native to the XRP Ledger. We leverage XRP in our products for its speed, neutrality, low cost, and green attributes. The XRP Ledger is a public, open source, permissionless blockchain for XRP and other assets. The XRP Ledger was designed and built for payments first. Why? Because if you don't have great payments, other applications are not going to work. Take, for example, a loan. If I take out a loan, there has to be a payment to me of the money I borrowed. When I repay the loan, those are payments. If you want to handle tokenized stock, well, people are going to buy and sell tokenized stock, and every buy and sell is also a payment. Like Ripple, developers choose to build on XRPL for its performance, low cost, reliability, and security, its accessibility, and its inherent green attributes. Being an open source decentralized blockchain technology is table stakes, but XRPL also provides significant benefits in scalability, speed, and cost. It's trustless in the sense that any participant can independently enforce all system rules, and there's no single party or even a single jurisdiction that all participants have to trust to use the system. XRPL features a distributed agreement protocol powered by a PBFT-like consensus algorithm that protects against malicious actors and solves the double spend problem. The XRP Ledger was designed around an anti-robustness principle. Unlike many other systems, or pretty much all proof-of-work systems built around robustness, the XRP Ledger won't tell you that you can rely on a payment unless you really can rely on that payment. XRPL uses XRP as a native asset to reduce transaction spam. A decentralized system can't tell legitimate economic activity from junk, and destroying a tiny amount, much less than a penny's worth, of XRP with each transaction ensures flooding attacks have some cost. Financial institutions using it today leverage XRPL for its ability to fully settle transactions for fractions of a penny with certainty in around 5 seconds, faster than other major blockchains. But the XRP Ledger isn't just XRP. It supports issued assets, represented as a balance between accounts, and these behave somewhat like IOUs or stablecoins do. The core concept is much like traditional banking. To have a dollar, you can have a bank owe you a dollar. To pay someone a dollar, you can make a bank owe them a dollar. And you and I don't have to use or trust the same bank for the payments to work, right? There's plumbing behind the scenes that connects the banks. Except the XRP Ledger permits anyone to issue assets, with the constraint that they can only owe that asset to people who have agreed to accept it. So you can't have people just give you a bunch of junk assets. The XRP ledger has a decentralized exchange, or DEX, to provide liquidity between different assets and between issued assets and XRP. Sophisticated payment and trading features make this multi-asset system work smoothly. You can pay someone in dollars even if you don't have any dollars, just by specifying that that's what you want to do. The pathfinding system will tell you how many euros, rupees, or XRP it will cost to deliver those dollars. XRPL is different because its core consensus mechanism is different. In the early days of Bitcoin, it seemed like proof of work was sort of what made Bitcoin magic, the special sauce, the unobtainium. But it turns out that that's not it. It's the public stake, it's the rules, and it's the global enforcement of rules that are the secret sauce. It's the fact that every Bitcoin participant can tell which transactions are valid and can execute them themselves. That is the secret sauce. POW just solves the double spend problem and does the initial distribution of the asset. I'd love to walk you through our top dozen innovations, but we'll leave that for another talk. But I do want to call out invariant checking here. This is a key XRPL innovation. Invariant checking is a security mechanism developed for the XRP ledger that provides a much higher degree of assurance than that provided by other blockchain systems that particular serious bad things won't happen. This is a technology that could have prevented the DAO attack that led to the Ethereum split with Ethereum Classic and many similar failures. What it allows you to do is pick something that you absolutely want to make sure never happens, say someone somehow creating more XRP, and point to a specific piece of code that prevents that from happening. Without it, the only way to be sure nobody could create more XRP would be to audit all the code and make sure you don't spot any place with a subtle bug that allows XRP to be created. But how closely can you audit 500,000 lines of code? With invariant checking, XRP not being created by any transaction is an invariant check by a specific piece of code. And auditing that tiny piece of code, around 100 lines, is much simpler. And you're only auditing it for one thing. Does it make sure that XRP can't be created? I barely scratched the surface, but today I'm excited to talk to you all about the newest innovation in the XRPL universe that will be key to unlocking a multi-chain future in which each blockchain can be optimized for a specific use case and they can all interoperate. Blockchains have an inherent painful trade-off. You want as many transactions per second, and you want each transaction to be as cheap as possible. But each transaction I do imposes costs on other users of the system. They have to receive that transaction, check the signature, execute it, store it, pass it on to their peers, and so on. If I impose all these costs on others and I don't bear a high cost myself, I'm incentivized to flood the system with nearly worthless transactions. If a transaction costs me a tenth of a penny, then I'll submit any transaction worth more than a tenth of a penny to me. If that, along with a million others doing the same thing, pushes up other people's costs, they'll leave the system. But if you push up my cost by making my transactions expensive, then I may leave the system. If it costs X dollars to run a node and it's only worth Y dollars to be part of the network, if X exceeds Y, nodes will shut down. A very simple fix to this is to allow people to participate in systems where as high a fraction of the transactions are valuable to them. And that means having lots of systems, which means making it simple and cheap to create new systems that still provide the features that larger systems like Bitcoin and XRPL do. And that's what federated sidechains can do. Last year, I published a vision to bring federated sidechains to the XRP ledger to enable developers to build new use cases, implement new features. Sidechains also offer developers a way to use XRP outside of the XRP ledger, using features that simply aren't available on the XRP ledger, and the ability to move XRP from the XRP ledger onto a sidechain, and back from the sidechain to the XRP ledger. Before I dive into how it works, let's just answer the obvious question, what's a sidechain? A sidechain is like a sibling of another chain, in this case the XRP ledger. It may have similar features, but it may also have its own features that make it unique. What makes a sidechain federated is a federator, a piece of software that connects to at least two instances of a blockchain. On one side, the federator is connected to the XRP ledger mainnet, and on the other side, it connects to one or more sidechains. I'm sure most of you have seen Star Trek, and you know that the federation is a group of groups. Each group doesn't fully trust the other groups in the federation, but they cooperate in specific areas for mutual benefit. A federator does precisely this, but for a group of parties that want to run a blockchain. So why would you do that? Well, we've heard from developers and contributors to the XRP ledger that smart contract functionality is among the most requested feature. And we've proposed federated sidechains to enable developers to experiment with and enable new features on a sidechain that acts as its own blockchain. Federated sidechains can provide some immediate benefits. A big one is horizontal scaling. Sidechains have their own fee system, their own reserve system, their own transaction capacity. You want to create a system with thousands of users that can hold XRP, you have a better option than being the custodian or putting all the accounts on the XRP ledger directly. This can resolve that painful trade-off I was talking about, where you want features but also predictable fees and load, and you don't want all the use cases on the same blockchain because that drives the node costs up. It's very low effort. Someone who wants to experiment with the blockchain can get started with a complete system ready out of the box, and they can handle real money in minutes without having to propose changes to established systems, which is very slow. And it's flexible. You have the freedom to decide how your chain works. Do you want a permission? Do you want a permissionless? Do you want it centralized? Do you want it decentralized? Is it a temporary sidechain? It can be purpose-built. Devs can build and launch blockchain features that are baked into the sidechains that, if successful, could even be ported to the mainnet. Now available for developers to preview, federated sidechains allows for easier interoperability, flexibility, and programmability to unlock new use cases. But are there any real-world applications for these sidechains? Well, the obvious one is features like CBDCs. Ripple's CBDC solution enables central banks to create a private parallel network, a permissioned blockchain that you can issue a CBDC on, and then you can connect that to the main public XRP ledger. Our vision is to solve for interoperability between CBDCs while creating a virtual lab for central banks to experiment with new features. The transactions are verified by the same consensus protocol used by the XRP ledger, which is less energy intensive, cheaper, and over 120,000 times more efficient than things like proof of work. Major first step in providing central banks with a secure, controlled, and flexible solution. Imagine every major institution in the world able to settle every major fiat asset with every other institution in a compatible jurisdiction in seconds for less than a penny. And I'll say that again in case you missed it. Imagine every major institution in the world able to settle every major fiat asset with every other institution in a compatible jurisdiction in seconds for less than a penny. That is a very, very big deal. Another use case is DeFi. Many in crypto agree that we're all building for a multi-chain future, where every network is optimized for a specific use case. For example, the XRP ledger was built for payments in the same way that ETH was built for smart contracts, and that's why much of DeFi is built on ETH today. More and more exchanges are looking to DeFi to create interoperable experiences for their users, alleviate network congestion, cut costs, so on. In turn, the ability to interoperate crypto across networks will break down barriers for broader adoptions by reaching new users. Developers want to build bridges between networks with complementary use cases. The XRP ledger is well suited to make this possible, with its native XRP acting as a neutral bridge asset that can easily be exchanged from one chain to another. XRP is consistently a top 5 most traded asset, and DeFi applications built on top would be built in a way that would cater to what institutions want. The future of crypto will be a multi-chain world, but not without first achieving cross-chain interoperability. Federated sidechains and similar innovations are key to making this future a reality. And it starts with the XRP ledger. Thank you.
David Schwartz!